What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead. I was given a code for review for this game, and I greatly appreciate the opportunity from them, and I got a couple things to say. Honestly, this was a game going in. I think this is important to say, by the way. Going in, I just didn't really know what to expect, because at times it looked really cool, but it also looked like, okay, was this thrown together in like a year or two, right? It's like, how low budget are we talking about? Definitely gave off the Alien Isolation vibes. It's like, okay, are we getting ripped off here? Is this some sort of scam, or is this like a legit thing? And I will say up front, I'm pleased to say out loud that this game is actually quite okay. And I use those words honestly pretty specifically. Like, I chose the word okay because I don't think this game is amazing. I don't think this game is great. It is definitely the discount Alien Isolation game you thought it probably was. And to be honest with you, for most people that at least I saw leading into this game, that's probably what they would have taken. Again, for me, it's like, okay, game looks solid, but like nobody reviewed it ahead of time. It seems like they didn't let people play it, or they didn't, or nobody was given the opportunity, or whatever it ended up being. We didn't really see any like deep dive gameplay into this game at all. And then the reviews didn't start going live until days after the game came out, not even when the game released. So, I started getting a little concerned where it's like, what kind of game is this? And to be honest with you, it is literally a discount Alien Isolation. It relies on sound quite a bit, and I would say at times pretty annoyingly, just in terms of like how the sound actually works, but it's got a pretty basic premise, right? You go from area to area, you solve objectives, you have your little kind of device, let's say, that can keep track of the sound from the environment, and you have to, at worst, match that sound or less, right? So you have to be quieter than the environment around you. And it's got two kind of bars to show it to you. Now, actually, I think in terms of, again, that Alien Isolation vibe, I think that's a pretty good way of like working it out, right? Where it's like, okay, you know what A Quiet Place is. The entire thing is to be quiet. Okay, well, how do you put that into a game, and how do you make that interesting? Well, you put things on the ground. So like if you kick a can, you're screwed. If you step in water, you're not totally screwed, depending, I guess, on how fast you walk. When you open doors, when you open dressers, when you open cabinets, you have to do it slowly. When you're walking around, you have to do it extremely slowly. Again, you have to kind of match that environment. And then when it comes to, okay, the actual creatures, well, sometimes you'll have to end up throwing things and they'll get distracted. Then maybe you can run just for like a second or two before it hears you again and comes back. It's got those mechanics. I'm pretty much describing the game, by the way. Now, that is the game. I guess where this game does suffer is you can tell it's a budget title. It's only about 5 hours long. This is a very short game, and it's not the highest quality. In fact, it repeats itself, right? Because what I described earlier, what happens in this game, right? You get some story, and I actually think the acting is pretty darn good. I think the story, it's very derivative of the movie. Like, if you've watched at least the first one, you're pretty familiar at least with the beginning of this game, and then it just kind of keeps going. It's not the exact same thing, but you would know the vibe. You'll get kind of things that are going to happen. But it's solid. Like, the story is solid, the characters are solid, the acting is solid. All of that stuff is totally cool, but you'll get the story moments. You'll sometimes get like kind of moments of levity where like, okay, you don't have to worry about freaking sneaking around 24/7, right? So it'll loosen up on you. And then after that, it's just back and forth between going from place to place, objective to objective, and it's kind of a linear type game, which actually I don't mind. To be honest with you, I'm okay with linear games. I always have been, I always will be. But you have a linear kind of, system where you're going from point A to point B, you're finding something, you're turning something on, whatever it might be, right? Then you backtrack or whatever it is. Okay, you have that. And then that immediately transitions to, okay, you're in kind of this arena, and the monster's there, and then you have to get around it. And it just back and forth, and that's it. That's the game. So story, wherever they feel like it, right? Just kind of throwing it at you. And then it's, okay, go to this area, turn this thing on. Now you're stuck with the creature. Now get over there. And you get over there, you distract the creature, you walk right by it, whatever it might be, very, very quietly, and then you do it again. And that's kind of where this game, not necessarily, if I said fall apart, I apologize. It is what it is, honestly. But that does describe the game. Now, if that's something you're into, that's great. If it's something you're not into, obviously you know what to do with it. But I think it's a solid game. This is by definition, I think the most solid game a game could be, where I think it's using that Alien Isolation, because like Alien Isolation, I keep bringing it up and many people brought it up, and to be honest with you, it's impossible to not think it. Now, the one thing I would say, when you really think of, okay, well, why is it discount? Well, I gave you some examples. I mean, it's not the prettiest looking game of all time. You can tell it's a budget, right? But let me throw something else at you. There's also times where when you're in the environment, so when I say you go to one area, right? You go to a spot and you turn on a generator, you go somewhere else, okay? Those times, the creature will not be on screen. It's not hunting for you. It's not anything. Now, there's an illusion, though, that it is. So if you make one wrong noise, the creature is not on screen. It's not there, okay? It's because it's not the same segment as when you're walking, trying to get around it, okay? You're just doing objectives. If you make a noise, you'll pause, you'll cover your mouth, and then there'll be a death scene that plays. And it's the same like 4 death scenes over and over and over. It got pretty annoying because I do think the sound can get very finicky. I was finding myself, honestly, like walking through water very slowly and being fine. Nothing would happen to me. And then I would make one wrong step or whatever, and it's not really forgiving. Like, if you go over that sound of the environment, you are probably 90% screwed. And when I say screwed, you immediately die. Like, it's a cutscene, basically, right? You'll pause. The game will take the game away from you. You can't move. She'll, like, cover her mouth. She'll pause. And then the creature will attack, and you're done, right? And then that's how that works. I personally really don't like that because there's not even a chance to get away. Now, it's a different universe, I guess, right? Where it's like, if you do get caught in the Quiet Places universe, you are kind of screwed, right? Like, if it hears you, and like if somebody distracts it for you, they're dead, right? You'll be dead if you do that. So I get it to a degree, but it really, I don't know, I think it stops the flow because there's not even a chance to run and hide, or, you know, there were a couple close calls for me where the creature, in the times where it would be around you, it's big, it's intimidating. It reminds me of the Alien. Now, it's not nearly as smart as right? It's like, I don't know, just the AI isn't as good, but it does give off those vibes, and it does it pretty okay. Definitely pretty, like, very serviceable would probably be the word, right? It's fine, but it is just kind of weird that in the moments that it's not there, it still is. Like, there's the illusion that it is, but it's really not. You could look everywhere in the building, the roof, the basement, under the rug, anywhere, and it's not there. And then if you make one wrong noise, it attacks you immediately. I mean, you could be on the second floor of a house and it could attack you, and it's like not around. So it's like, well, I would have preferred they give me a chance to hide. You know what I mean? Like, give me 5 seconds to hide before you do the kill animation, and they don't do that. So it's fine. This is a fine game. Is it worth the money? Well, it's not a full price game, so that's one thing, but it's also 5 hours, and it's a fine story, it's fine characters, it's fine setting, it does have tension, you know what I mean? Everything in this game is about average or fine. I know I keep saying fine, but I don't give scores, right? So, I mean, if I were to, and 5 is like average, right? This is an average game, and I think, honestly, for me, that's pretty okay for what it was billed at, because this game was either going to do this, or it was going to be really bad, and it's definitely not bad. Okay, this is not a bad game. Don't let anybody tell you, you know, I mean, okay, you can listen to other people if you prefer to, but I really don't think it's a bad game. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.